Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to SAW Television. I'm Michael Graham, outside the Sawmill here and awaiting the arrival of the A-Team. A team right now that we understand is actually down one. Oh, as a matter of fact, they are just arriving here. We'll get some words with them if we can. Gentlemen, it's Rick Santel, Paul Adams, Andy Douglas. Gentlemen, if I could, we were hoping to get some words from you after the pile driver by Hammerjack just recently. We understand, well, we'd like to know about the status of David Young.
Really? Really, Graham? You're seriously doing this right now? Look at us. Can't you tell that we're in mourning? We've suffered a loss, a grave loss.
Oh, mourning. I'm so sorry. I assumed he was probably hurt, but I didn't assume the worst. I'm so sorry.
Are you talking about David Young?
Yeah?
Yeah, he's hurt. He's hurt real bad. I don't know if he's ever going to wrestle again. That's not what Rick's talking about. He said we suffered a loss. Look at this man's hair right here.
Well, Andy Douglas, he refers, of course, to your new coif that you received at the...
What? Coif? What is that? Did you study that today? Is that your dictionary word for the day? Real good professional there. Chase, a couple weeks ago, you tried to embarrass me. You tried to shame me. You tried to get me out of Showtime All-Star Wrestling for good. But when it all clears up, the only thing that you did do is you gave me a new beginning. There's not going to be any holds tonight. There's not going to be any reversals, this and that and the other. Chase, the only thing left is a fight between you and the real deal, Andy Douglas.
Let's get in.
Ladies and gentlemen, words from Andy Douglas there, and tonight he does take on Chase Stevens. The war continues on SAW Television, a cut above the rest.
Nashville.com.
At one time, one of the most decorated and critically acclaimed tag teams of the last decade, Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas continue to wage war as bitter enemies in Showtime All-Star Wrestling.
Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas going at it tooth and nail inside the ring, outside the ring, on the concrete floor now, into the crowd. You can see they're practically fighting in the Sawmill crowd's break. And now the count is on, Reno. The count is on here. These men can be counted out. And both Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas are out of this match. Look at, my goodness, this is pandemonium, Reno. Look at this. They're actually outside, out front of the Sawmill. It's Andy Douglas. Oh, into the sign hard, into the sign out in front. And now where's Chase Stevens going? He's got Andy Douglas flat on his back there near the corner looking for the moonsault, and he hits it. This should be all. The cover. 1, 2. He kicked out. Oh, Andy Douglas kicked out.
Andy Douglas throwing some heavy lumber on his own. Looks like he's going to go for a hurricane run up.
Top rope hurricane run, he nails it. He nails it. Chase Stevens is down in a heap in the center of the ring. Leg is hooked this time. 1, 2, he kicked out. He kicked out. Chase Stevens now rolls him up. He's got him. 1, 2. Where's David Young? Where did he come from? Spine buster. The cover, the referee involved with trying to break up Flash Flanagan, Rick Santel, and that will be all. The 3 count. And Andy Douglas will get his hand raised in this one. I cannot believe it.
The stakes became more personal in this rivalry when Chase Stevens answered a recent challenge by Douglas by adding a stipulation of his own.
We became 3-time World Tag Team Champions.
Definitely.
And the reason we're not there right now, Andy Douglas, is because of your stinking hair. We left TNA. We had bigger and better dreams, what we talked about. We was going to WWE.
Yeah?
What they want. They want us to cut our hair. Andy Douglas. Andy, look at me. What'd you say, you coward? What'd you say when they looked at you and said, all we want you to do is cut your hair?
Would you cut this beautiful head of hair?
You know what, Andy? I put my career on the line, but you put that rat tail on the line. You put that hair on the line. I want it shaved completely bald.
With the match signed and both men risking things of great value, the former tag team partners battled in an epic Saw main event.
It's Douglas's hair against Chase Stevens' career. That's what's on the line here, and that's why they've been going at it tooth and nail. Andy Douglas picking up nearly dead weight. No, small package. 1, 2, 3. It's over. It's over. Chase Stevens with the win.
Typical of Douglas and the A-Team, the real deal escaped the Sawmill despite the stipulations of the match with his hair intact. However, Commissioner Freddie Morton laid down the law and justice was served just 1 week later. Now, with more personal pride on the line than ever before in the Chase Stevens-Andy Douglas feud, the two lock up again in this week's TV main event. It's Douglas versus Stevens next on Saw.
It's main event time here at the Sawmill ringside along with Reno Riggins. I am Michael Graham. There you see the real deal. Andy Douglas being led to the ring by the A-Team's Paul Adams. And once again, Andy Douglas will take on his nemesis here in SAW Reno. That is Chase Stevens.
Not only his nemesis, but former partner, and the man that's taken him to task week in and week out here on SAW.
The man that took his hair 2 weeks ago. You can see the new haircut there. Andy Douglas not happy about that. Not even a little bit, I promise you, folks. We are awaiting the arrival of Andy Douglas's opponent, Chase Stevens. And there he is, the man that used to be tag team champion alongside the man awaiting him in the ring, Andy Douglas, in the Naturals. That is Chase Stevens. Reno, this should be another huge match between these two.
Well, Chase Stevens right now enjoying the bragging rights of the haircut that he administered to Andy Douglas. And of course, you had the A-Team out here trying to buy their way out of getting Andy's hair cut, but Commissioner Freddie Morton wasn't going to have no part of it. And we're underway.
Goodness. Yes, we are underway as Andy Douglas jumps all over Chase Stevens. And as it usually is between these two men, it is off with a bang. Oh, and two thumbs to the eyes right there from Andy Douglas. And that'll give him the advantage in this one. Now wants to send Stevens pillar to post. No, across goes Douglas and hard into the turnbuckle.
You know, some great matchups we've seen. Probably some of the best matchups we've ever seen here at SAW between Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas. And this one, I've been excited all week long about this one.
Well, you know, it just keeps getting ratcheted up, the pressure between. And now with the haircut, with the fact that the A-Team got Chase Stevens to actually put his career on the line, thankfully he was able to win the match on which his career was on the line. Nice body slam there. And now off the ropes comes Stevens, but misses with that elbow drop. Andy Douglas quickly gets moved out of the way there. But, you know, like I say, the pressure between these two men, just when you think it can't get any higher, it gets ratcheted up even further.
Each time these two get into the ring together, the envelope gets pushed just a little closer to the edge. And, I mean, it's just been a miracle that these guys, their bodies are holding up to be able to compete week in and week out here at SAW.
Well, and that is something that we probably should address, because there's no way either of these men enter this match at a full 100%. Not after the battles they've had. Not after, in Chase Stevens' case, not, oh my goodness, do I see, it looks like Chase Stevens is busted open, and he is bleeding badly here early in this one. Oh my goodness.
I'm actually surprised he's busted open early in this match.
It is very early, and Chase Stevens has already lost a little bit of blood. Oh, you can see Andy Douglas going right after it, just like a shark in the water smelling blood. Andy Douglas saw that red on the forehead of Chase Stevens and just starting to attack it, starting to pummel it, and to bust Chase Stevens even wider open. Now down on his backside, and now down on his back is Chase Stevens after that shot.
You know, maybe Chase Stevens coming in this match, you know, of course not 100%. Neither is Andy Douglas though. No. But when these and a low blow there, Chase Stevens. But both these guys, when they came into my office to sign their contract, they were eager. They was wanting to have the match right then. And I says, "Go guys, we've got to wait a couple of days here." But both these guys came in here and they're eager to compete against one another, or basically not compete, but basically fight one another.
I was going to say, these are barely wrestling matches, and I'm glad that they decided to play this out here in SAW, to be honest with you, because these two men could just as well be fighting in the parking lot behind the building. We've seen them outside of the Sawmill here, spilling their matches out from the ring onto the floor, as right now, outside onto the streets out in front of the Sawmill. And it has been an absolute war. This just another chapter, maybe the last chapter, I don't know. Another thing we have to address, I think, Reno, is the fact that, I spoke to the A-Team earlier, and, David Young not with them, but how many times have we seen the A-Team? Oh, and now, wait a minute, am I seeing maybe, a big shot right there, and I'm not sure, but I think Andy Douglas may be bleeding now, Reno.
I believe there is a chance of that after having his head rammed through that steel fence 3 times there by Chase Stevens.
I think maybe even a shot before that may have actually done the damage, and then the shots into the cage really opened him up even further, and Andy Douglas is definitely bleeding. Both of these men now fairly early in this match, if we use their previous matches as any indicator, they are both bleeding and bleeding badly from above the eye somewhere on the forehead. We have a cover, a 1, a 2. Oh my goodness, only a 2 count. That was close. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more of this one. Our main event, Stevens and Douglas, SAW Wrestling, a cut above the rest. We are back at the Sawmill, and ladies and gentlemen, this one has been brutal. Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas in the ring. Michael Graham along with Reno Riggins here ringside. And Reno, these two men are pummeling each other right now.
These two guys have pushed each other. They have pushed each other further than they've ever been before. And now both of them bleeding profusely and throwing rights and lefts, both of them fighting back and forth. Just like you said earlier with Paul Adams, they said that David Young is not here, but you can't believe a thing Paul Adams says. I mean, David Young could be under the ring. He could be in the back. You've got Rick Santel running loose.
1, 2. And Andy Douglas gets that shoulder up. Well, we certainly can hope that the A-Team won't get involved in this match. We have said more than one occasion, Reno, that we would like to see some semblance of a resolution between these two men. This cannot go on forever. Holding him up there in that half-hour suplex, letting that blood rush to and maybe out of the head of Andy Douglas. Chase Stevens still has him up. Douglas down hard. I thought for a moment he might have lost him, but he kept him up there. What strength shown by Chase Stevens. And now he floats into a cover. 1, 2, and once again Douglas is able to kick out. But Reno, speak on the strength that last maneuver had to take.
Definitely so. He held him up there so long, I thought he was trying to bleed Andy Douglas. Strictly just let all the blood run out of the top of his head.
Well, that may very well have been the strategy, and you can tell both of these men right now stumbling around the ring. Andy Douglas particularly on jelly legs right now, but he's able to block that right hand and throw 1, 2, a third of his own, and now a fourth going after that bloodied forehead of Chase Stevens. A big right hand puts Chase Stevens down and turns him inside out.
Man, what a big right thrown by Andy Douglas, and Andy Douglas falls. This could be it.
1, 2, and another kick out from Chase Stevens. Senior referee Kurt Herron right there for the count, but doesn't get to count to 3. Chase Stevens, his shoulder up off the mat at 2, and my goodness, Andy Douglas is bleeding profusely. Both these men with the crimson mask on, but it is Andy Douglas that is particularly looking bloody to me. We will be back with more of our main event on SAW Television, a cut above the rest.
.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sawmill. Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas, former partners, now complete and utter enemies. A slingshot, a springboard moonsault, a 1, a 2, and no, it is Chase Stevens that really dug into the reserve there, found the energy to throw a great maneuver. It was a springboard moonsault. It got only a 2, however. Give Andy Douglas all the credit in the world for getting a shoulder off the mat there.
What a combination Chase Stevens put together there, but Andy Douglas showing the wherewithal to kick out, and out on the floor Chase Stevens goes.
However, another very resourceful move by Andy Douglas, bought himself a few moments there, and now follows Chase Stevens out onto the floor. This match, as it's been the case with most, if not all of their matches, much of it has been spent outside of the ring. Some of their matches, some of their battles have been spent outside of the building here at the Sawmill. What's he going to do with him? Andy Douglas has Chase Stevens sized up and into that chair. Oh, look at it splinter.
Wow, it's splintered. It looks like it's sticking right out of his head over there.
Oh, my goodness. That could really do some damage. Andy Douglas. Look at the blood dripping down the face of Andy Douglas, the real deal, as he grabs a handful of Chase Stevens' hair, and Chase Stevens barely more than dead weight on the concrete floor here at the Sawmill. Another battle unfolding in the war between Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens.
These guys are laying it all out on the line right here. Look at this.
Dragging his face along the mat, and look at the blood left behind on the mat. Oh, my goodness. And now Chase Stevens on that metal ramp we have here at the Sawmill, leading toward the back.
Look at the pool of blood starting to form there on the ramp there from Chase Stevens.
Oh, a big shot there while Chase Stevens is on his knee. And now Andy Douglas certainly not leaving the area. No, gets a running start. And what a boot right there. That one looked good from 52.
Well, this right here is so dangerous now. Chase Stevens is out on the floor. You've got Paul Adams lurking around. And actually we have another group like that here in SAW. It's Derek King Enterprises. And next week, Big Dollar is going to be here on the program.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We will have Big Dollar in action here on the program, and we were hoping to get words from the man he put out as well, Vordell Walker. Andy Douglas now has Chase Stevens in a bad way. Is he looking for the cover? Let's see if he gets it. We have a count. 1, 2... No! Another long 2 count. Douglas can't believe it, and we have to take our final break of the evening. When we come back, we will have the remainder of this one. Douglas and Stevens, our main event on SAW Television. Back at the Sawmill, back ringside, Reno Riggins here alongside me, Michael Graham, as a bloodied Andy Douglas and a bloodied Chase Stevens continue their war here in the ring. This, our main event on our program tonight, and right now both men trading blows. Andy Douglas now maybe losing a bit of that advantage he had just a few moments ago, reverses that one, however, under a clothesline goes Stevens, but the high knee connects, and the cover from Douglas. 1, 2, no!
Whoa, my
Stevens
goodness.
Kicks out at 2 7/8. I can't believe he got a shoulder off the mat. And neither can Paul Adams ringside. My goodness.
What a battle this is. It's like a tennis match, back and forth.
Another cover. Douglas with another 2 count. He can't believe he didn't get the 3 count just a few moments ago. Oh, and a shot from a prone position there from Chase Stevens. And Andy Douglas felt that one. Certainly, that shot right to the jaw.
A little 6-inch punch right up under the chin of Andy Douglas. I know he's feeling that.
Big shot right there, blocked by Stevens, and now he throws a right hand of his own. Another right hand blocked by Douglas, and now Chase Stevens with a couple of rights. Wants to send Douglas in. No, it's reversed once again. Stevens comes off, ducks under the clothesline. Flying forearm, catches the mark right on the forehead of Andy Douglas.
Both men are down.
Both men are bloodied, battered, bruised, and flat on their back. The count is on, but both men now suddenly to their feet. Chase Stevens kips up. Andy Douglas finds his feet. Big shot puts Andy Douglas back down. And again, it's Chase Stevens with a right hand. Another one. Look at the blood all over the ring, all over the fist of Chase Stevens. Now he has him up. He's looking for that fisherman's suplex. He hits it. He hits it. The cover. It's a 1, 2, and no! I can't believe it.
I thought that was 3 right there, Michael.
How did Andy Douglas kick out of that? Especially considering the shape that he's in at this point. Battered and bruised, bloodied. The loss of blood has to begin affecting these men here soon, because they have been bleeding since early on in this one.
Chase Stevens,
another big shot.
Chase Stevens just threw Andy Douglas through the mat on that one.
Now Andy Douglas looking for and hitting a big swinging neck breaker. The cover. 1, 2, no! Oh, big maneuver after big maneuver, but no 3 count.
At this point in a match, doubt has to start settling in one of these guys' mind. I don't know whether it's Stevens or Andy Douglas or both. but doubt is starting to creep in. It looked like Andy Douglas was starting to show some signs of frustration after not getting the 3 count on that last one.
I'm beginning to wonder what it's going to take to keep one of these men down for 3 seconds, and it's Chase Stevens with a shot to the midsection. And again, Chase Stevens now trying to fire up with right hands. Wants to send Andy Douglas in. No, it's reversed. Stevens off the ropes. Sleeper!
Whoa.
This could do it. A great maneuver and great strategy from Andy Douglas. If you can't keep his shoulders down, maybe you can put him out. And Andy Douglas has it cinched in tight.
And look at the face of Chase Stevens. He's already starting to went from red to blue just like that.
Well, he certainly lost a lot of blood in this one, as has Andy Douglas, and it did not take long for Chase Stevens to go to a prone position on the mat. He could be in big, big trouble here. This SAW crowd getting behind him in a big way, however, and it looks like he is trying to feed on that emotion and trying to get back to his feet.
At this point, he desperately needs to get to his feet. He needs to get out of this situation right now because basically Andy Douglas has a reverse, a naked choke on him.
He's got a couple of shots in there to Chase Stevens, but cinched in tighter now is that sleeper or that naked choke, as you just called it, Reno, and Chase Stevens could be fading here.
If Andy Douglas could swing around and wrap his legs around the body of Chase Stevens, Chase could be in very serious trouble.
That would be prudent, but I have to say that after the battle these two men have been in, it would be hard to fault Andy Douglas for not being 100% in his ring awareness right now. Look at the red face of Andy Douglas. That man has lost a lot of blood, taken a lot of punishment, but no less so than the man in the ring with him right now, Chase Stevens, once again trying to find that reserve of energy.
Well, just think of a couple of weeks ago here on this broadcast, that man right there, Chase Stevens, basically took the manhood, basically embarrassed Andy Douglas. Andy doesn't want that to happen again today.
Well, he's looking for retribution right here, and if this arm falls twice more, no. Andy Douglas cannot put Chase Stevens out, not yet, but he still has that rear chin lock, that sleeper hold cinched in pretty well.
My goodness, 2 top athletes here at SAW laying it all on the line.
And giving it all here tonight. I mean, absolutely leaving it in the Sawmill ring. Chase Stevens, once again, trying to get to his feet, and he's able to back Douglas into the ropes, but again, it's Andy Douglas right back on him. Good job by Douglas, good job by Stevens once again, getting that counter, and again, Andy Douglas, he is like a pit bull tenaciously keeping that rear chin lock locked in.
Well, he knows what's working, and he's staying with it.
Well, this is the die he's cast now in this match. He couldn't keep the man's shoulders down for a 3 count, and now he is looking to put the man out, and Chase Stevens may be out. He may be out. That arm just fell. It fell easily, and there it drops once, twice more, and this one is over.
That's it. Right there.
I tell you what, and again, the tenacity of Andy Douglas didn't just win him this. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Had to be instinct. There's no other word for it. Andy Douglas cannot believe it. You can see the look in his eyes, on his face.
He was 2 inches away from losing this match.
There's no way that wasn't just pure instinct that kept that hand from hitting the mat. It is Chase Stevens now remarkably back up to a vertical base with a couple of shots, looking for and hitting that jawbuster. I guess you could call it that because he did not get it under the chin, but right on the jaw, and that was a major shot to Andy Douglas. He is down face first.
And think about how that has to feel on Andy Douglas after receiving a 6-inch punch from Chase Stevens a little while ago.
But there's no way Chase Stevens could follow it up right now. He is in a bad, bad way. He was in that rear chin lock, that sleeper, the naked choke you called it, for quite some time. Still trying to find his bearings. Big right hand, however, as he sees that man Andy Douglas has been the bane of his existence for months. I guess that's just what happens. He starts punching, and right there, Andy Douglas goes down hard after a right hand off the ropes.
You know, and I'm actually very surprised Chase Stevens on the offense right here. I thought at this point he really needed to stay away from Andy Douglas, being in his situation. Oh, a nice Russian leg sweep.
Floats over into the cover. 1, 2, oh, and only a 2 count. And once again, what is it going to take to keep either of these men down for a 3 count?
Mike, and at this point, it is anybody's match. I had Chase Stevens out a second ago, but here he is back on his feet and back on offense.
And Andy Douglas, you can see in his eyes, he is just barely in the Sawmill. Oh, but he gets a shot in there. Reversal and a small package. Chase Stevens won with this maneuver once, but only a 2 count here. That was the maneuver that cost Andy Douglas his hair 2 weeks ago. And now the bridge, the 1, the 2. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that was close. I thought he had him once again.
Caught him with a nice fisherman suplex. What is so difficult about getting out of that is that one of your legs are hooked, and it's hard to kick out of that. But Andy Douglas finding it deep down inside to fight his way out of that. Both guys laying it all on the line here at SAW.
Many times Chase Stevens has won with that very maneuver, and now look at these two men. This is emotion. This is when you know you hate another human being, when you cannot even get to your feet, yet you're still throwing fists at the other man. This is two men that are absolutely giving it everything they have, and for one reason, because they want to finish the other man in the ring.
This is SAW at his best. This is Saw is War.
And right there, big shot after big shot, and now both men laying huge right hands in. Chase Stevens, Andy Douglas. Oh, and both of them right there. And I have to say, wow, what a shot right there. I have to say, I got to look at Chase Stevens' eyes, and he was out going down after that shot. But Andy Douglas looks out on the other side of the ring.
Double knockout. Both these guys connecting with their punches.
Can either man get back to a vertical base? The count is on. Referee Kurt Herron is the man in the middle for this one. He has had his work cut out as these two men have been absolutely brutalizing one another. And what did we read? I believe we, as a matter of fact, yes, that's it.
What?
We have a double knockout. A double knockout is the call by referee Kurt Herron. It looked as though Chase Stevens was back to a vertical base, but I have to say I don't believe so until the count of 11. We'll take a look again on the replay here, but the referee's ruling is that neither man could answer the count of 10, if I'm not mistaken, Reno.
Well, Michael, the situation was, it looked like Chase Stevens was almost there, but his hands was on the ropes. He was not on a vertical base of his own accord, so therefore he was still considered down. So both men not being able to answer the 10 bell there.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have a draw, a double knockout, a double count out, if you want to call it that. It was inside the ring, however, and Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas, another war fought here in the Sawmill in Reno.
It's just
still nothing resolved.
No, just absolute carnage. Both of these guys going tit for tat. I mean, whatever you can do, I can do better, and we just saw that here today. Both these guys, even Steven. My goodness, look at that look. He doesn't know where he's at this point.
Absolutely not. No,
sir.
Absolutely not. Both of these men are going to have to require some medical attention in the back. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our program for this week. Next week, be here as we bring you more SAW action. We are SAW. We are a cut above the rest.